Hafiday, welcome to Marianas Press. I'm Thomas Manglona, and we are at the Crown Plaza Resort Saipan, sitting down with British Consul General Paul Rennie. Mr. Rennie, welcome to the Marianas.
Thank you very much.
And this is a historic trip, right? Tell us why it's historic.
Yes, so it's the first time ever that a British Consul General has been to the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana. So we have been with a diplomatic representation in Los Angeles now, where I'm based, for more than 8 decades. But as far as I understand it, none of my predecessors have ever made a trip out to Saipan, and so it's really exciting to be the first person to do that. And in doing that, I should say, I'm sorry it took us so long.
All right, well, welcome again. And the natural follow-up to that is why visit us now? Why visit the CNMI now?
So I think for me there's a number of reasons. First and foremost, we are 2 island nations. I mean, the United Kingdom is also an island, just as the CNMI region is a series of islands as well. But not just that, the United Kingdom is an island that has other islands next to it. So, you know, Shetland and Orkneys in Scotland, which is my home nation. And so I think that opportunity to come together as island kind of communities to talk about some of the shared challenges. So conversations that I've had already around energy and climate. How do you generate energy resilience and kind of keep the cost of energy down? How do you generate climate resilience so that you kind of can better cope with some of the changes in the climate that we're seeing? And likewise, local and island economic development. I mean, many conversations about tourism, about sustainable tourism. How do you help to develop economies and cultures like that? And then, of course, geopolitically, you know, CNMI sits at a very interesting part of the world between the US and Asia at a very interesting time. So again, it's fascinating to have met with some of the people on the island, just understanding more about their perceptions and their journey in this space.
I understand you've met with Lieutenant Governor David Apatang, the Senate President Dennis Mendiola, to see a few. You even today on Tuesday got a chance to visit some of the cultural sites.
Yes.
Tell us about your time here. I understand you have about 3 days, right, on the ground here?
Correct. It's all too brief, I'm afraid, but it's been a very packed program. So the chance to talk to, as you said, the Lieutenant Governor and the Senate President and the Mayor of Saipan as well. You know, we really talked about kind of issues that are affecting local communities here. So talking about how do you support jobs and growth. Very interesting conversation I had with a couple of colleagues about unmanned drones. So the UK at the moment has a sort of pilot program, if you pardon the pun, a pilot program, where the Royal Mail, which is the equivalent of our US Postal Service, is using unmanned aerial drones to fly out to some of our Scottish islands to deliver mail and to deliver medicine. So again, we have the same challenges about the cost of delivering items to our island communities, but they want to feel connected. They want to get sometimes medical supplies very urgently. And so we've been trialing the use of unmanned drones as a means to cut costs and increase access and convenience. So obviously with CNMI and the number of islands such as Rota, which are smaller populations, more complex to reach, simple things like that which the UK is trialing could be very interesting to share knowledge and share understanding with people here. And then beyond that, having had the chance to understand the wider culture here in CNMI. So very fortunate to have visited, met with the museum director, met with the National Park Service, Historic Preservation Office, and they've helped me understand more about the culture on the island, which has been just terrific. So friendly, so open, so warm, and very patient with me as I ask a lot of questions.
And so what are you hoping this visit sparks? What type of relationship do you hope to have with, you not only oversee the Marianas, but all U.S. Pacific territories,
Correct.
and even California,
Correct.
Nevada, Utah, Arizona, right?
Correct, and Hawaii as well.
Hawaii, yes.
No, it's a big area. But I think the first thing I wanted to do was just to come. I mean, I think physically being here, I know certainly in the communities I've worked with in Scotland growing up, it's important to say to people, I'm here and I want to work with you and I want to partner with you. After that, where the partnership develops is really open in my mind, because there are so many different things we could talk about. But being able to make that first step to come in and say, this is what the British government is interested in, these are the kinds of things we would love to talk to you about, but also understanding what the community here in CNMI, but also in Guam, American Samoa, what they're interested in trying to work with us too. Now, I've only been in my job 7 months now, so I'm coming as early as I could in my tenure, because that allows me the maximum amount of time to see what might come from the conversations we're having in the last couple of days.
As I'm sure you've learned, tourism is our bread and butter. It's
yes.
our only industry right now. There's a burgeoning military industry that's also making its way, if not already here. And so when we talk about maybe tourism, what's the potential? I don't know if you've probably been asked this question already on this trip.
Yes.
Can we get tourists from the UK to come here?
So as somebody said, when's the first British Airways plane landing? I'm not sure we're going to get one of those immediately, but one thing I do know is the British tourists love to travel. I mean, Brits travel all over the world every year, and I think it's been interesting having conversations about what kinds of tourism you want to develop here, because certainly a lot of young Brits now, they want to travel to places that are not over touristed. They want to travel to places that are unique or have something very special to offer. And I think having met with some of your kind of promoters of tourism on this island, they've demonstrated so many wonderful things that exist in CNMI. And from my perspective, being able to talk about that in our own social media feeds that we produce, that I know a lot of Brits are watching, hopefully is a chance to just open their eyes to a part of the Pacific Territories that is a totally different experience than going to some of the bigger countries that might be here in the Asian region. But also more than tourism, it's been interesting having conversations about aquaculture, having conversations about next generation energy. I mean, tourism might be the largest industry for the moment, but I also met with the president of the Northern Marianas College, who's talking about a whole pile of new programs in entrepreneurship, in business development. I understand one of the major tech companies could be bringing a data center here, so they're teaching people about, data processing skills and broadband installation skills. So for me, as we have seen in the UK island communities as well, the modern world presents so much more than just tourism. And even the tourism that can be developed is often thinking about it at the top end and about the new kinds of tourism you want to attract and develop.
And when it comes to that development, I know you haven't even left yet and gotten a chance to check in with your team, but what would that look like potentially? Does that look like just sharing, does that include sharing resources, or is it just knowledge sharing? What are some of the tangible things that are possible for the CNMI
yes.
with your office?
Yes, so again, one of the things I'm going to take away from this visit is a conversation with some of the British Isles about whether there might be a partnership or conversation to begin. Because I think often the island communities know themselves what it is they're trying to do and what they're trying to achieve. But I've been very struck from my own experience in the last few days about the self-sufficiency that this island community wants to develop, about its interest in solving its own problems and coming up with its own solutions, its interest in respecting the local culture and maintaining and preserving that local culture. And these are themes that feel very familiar to me from my time working with some of the Scottish island communities. And so I think as a first step, just being able to make a few connections, see if there's conversations that might develop, and after that, how can I help promote and support these conversations? Whether that's through resources is one question, but whether it's just allowing people to have that exchange of knowledge can sometimes be one of the most powerful gifts we can give.
And
also, I should say, gifts
yes.
we can receive. I mean, it's not as if the UK has all the answers here. We are also interested in learning from your experiences too, I should say.
And I know when we spoke with the Australian Consul General out of Honolulu, he talked about having, regular visits to the Marianas and the desire to have an office here. I mean, what does that look like for you? Is this going to be part of your regular trips, and will you have an office here at some point?
I'm not sure we're ready for an office just yet. Obviously, our Australian friends friends are much closer to the Isles in terms of this being, the Asia-Pacific region in terms of their reach and engagement. But I certainly want to make sure that, having been the first visit in 82 years, I don't want it to be the last visit for 82 years. And I think for me that's about how we can find the right kinds of partnerships. So to my mind, you go where the work is, and so coming out for the first time just now was a chance to just say to people, we're coming, we're interested, we want to engage. How that develops is then going to help understand how we can develop both visits coming into CNMI, but also supporting friends and colleagues here who might want to do trips back to the UK to understand more about what's happening on the ground.
And so you're wrapping up your trip here. You're off to Guam
Yes.
next. Tell us about what's the next on your itinerary and where else you're heading to.
So in Guam, I'll be meeting with the governor, meeting with various sort of kind of cultural space as well, the same as meeting here. The US Coast Guard is going to give me a bit of an understanding about their work and what they're doing out there too. So very similar to my time here in Saipan, trying to understand the politics, trying to understand the people, trying to understand the economics and the economic opportunities, and really through that process just helping to find ways we can connect and ways we can grow.
All right, and anything else you'd like to let the people of the Marianas and Pacific know?
A massive thank you. The warmth and hospitality that I've been shown, not just by the people who have, had meetings with me and taken me around, but everyone I have met, everyone I have engaged with has just been incredibly welcoming. So I would say in terms of this being a destination where you receive a warm and hospitable welcome, I couldn't have wished for more.
All right, hopefully we get to interview you more in the future as you make your way through the Pacific as well. So thank you so much, British Consul General Paul Rennie. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.